Take the Leap is the podcast where we get real about the roller coaster that is entrepreneurship and life. Sure, some folks make running a business look like a walk in the park, but let's be honest, it's more like a wild ride through a theme park with a lot of unexpected twists and turns.
Join us, your co-hosts, Ashlan
and Tory,
as we spill the beans on our own real-life experiences and shine a spotlight on some amazing guests. From the highs of success stories to the lows of epic failures. And hey, we'll even throw in some cringe-worthy, laugh-out-loud, embarrassing moments for good measure.
So buckle up and tune in every Tuesday and Thursday for a dose of raw, unfiltered truth about what it's really like to chase your dreams and build a business.
Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just dipping your toes into the startup world, we've got something for everyone. Even if it's just to make you think, wow, I'm glad I didn't do what they did.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Take the Leap. We're excited to chat with you today. Ashlan, how are you?
Doing good. I'm so glad it is warm outside here. It has been in the 70s, and it is making everybody that I talk to in Portland very jealous.
Did you know there was some stuff snow this week?
Yeah,
I don't know if we're actually going to, but yeah, very jealous. And also, for those listening, it is now the first week of February, and it's been predicted that we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter, which I was very depressed about because I thought for sure we were going to have
an early spring.
Oh, well. Anyways. Well, today I know we want to chat about the last guest episode that we did, which was with Tammy. That was a really great conversation, right? We talked about change in entrepreneurship, which is big, but then we also talked about imposter syndrome, which I feel like even though it is kind of a buzzword, it's a buzzword for a reason. Like it's, or I guess phrase, not word, huh? Yeah, but a buzz phrase. It is for a reason though, because I feel like we all feel it, we all experience it, and we're all dealing with it. And yeah, so yeah, let's talk about the change part first though. Like I really resonated with that part of our conversation. And one thing I wanted to kind of bring up with you was how like we recently talked in a solo episode about like how we can't avoid change, like change is coming no matter who's president, who, what the economy is like or anything like that. And so leaving that part aside, how do you know it's time for you to make a change in your business? What's that catalyst? What is that thing that's going to get you to make the change? And so kind of for me personally, I like to listen to my gut a lot. And I like to just kind of pay attention to the things that are serving me and then the things that aren't. And so, for example, I am running a couple of businesses. I'm a mom. I don't have a lot of childcare. So I feel like I'm juggling a lot of things at once all the time, every single day. And there will get to be a point some days where I'll be like, why am I doing this thing over and over again every single day? This is not helping me. Like, I'm just stressed. Like, why am I doing this thing that I don't want to do? And it relates to my business too. Like, it can be anything as small as like a daily task that I'm doing to like every time I get on a client call with this particular client, I like feel dread in my body, And so I think one of the major ways that you can learn how to like when the right time to make a change is by literally just listening to yourself and being in tune with your body and like recognizing those signs that even if they're subtle of like when it's time to make a change. And the change could be like really itty bitty small, right? Like you and I were just talking right before this about how I need to change my approach to schedule blocking and maybe trying a couple of different approaches. Like it could be something as small as that. Like, hey, I have this to-do list and what I'm doing to tackle it isn't working. So I need to make this change. Or it could be something really big. Like I need to drop this client or I need to go after different types of clients because the ones I'm working with are no longer in my target audience, or they never were. Okay, so now I'm just rambling. So it's your turn.
Well, I like that you hinted on like these like internal signals to look at. I think what's really important is like paying attention to external signals. So like one of the
Yeah.
things that has been really big and rocking my world right now is the new presidential administration and just like things that are happening and things that are changing, the tariffs that could be coming at any moment and any time soon. A big portion of my client base is nonprofits. So there is like some very heavy duty, just basically scare people who are scared and fearful of what is going to happen with federal funding and all the changes that are happening as far as like DEI goes, and removing certain things and protections, or removing funding for certain things out there as well. If, it is at all tangentially related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so I think one of the important things is one, to pay attention to those sorts of things and what's happening in the world. And I think, I've gone back and forth on whether or not I talk about it, out there or just kind of keep an eye on it. I think it's really important to know what's happening in the market and know what's impacting not only you as a business, but also your clients and your customers, because so much of what will happen and the decision points that will be made are going to be influenced by those external factors. So you can't just really hide under a rock and pretend that it is not happening. But I also think it's really important how you prepare for it and, getting creative and thinking about it. So I know that there's a lot of information that I have been reading and observing of different ways to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion so that you can kind of skirt around getting funding pulled from you, or even, looking at things that might need to happen, like will nonprofits need to close? Certain ones need to close. Will they need to merge with others? Will they need to be, have to pool resources? And I think the one thing that's really important in both of both our regards is to think about the importance of collaboration over competition and sharing information, coming together as a community and making sure that you're not gatekeeping anything that, could be helpful to somebody else. And tuning into those conversations and listening in as well.
Yeah, that's actually I love what you said about how you can't just hide under a rock. I think that applies to a lot of things in life right now. Um, and it's true because there are days where I really do just want to hide, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs in general, like change comes at you so much that sometimes there is just that desire to just stick your head down and pretend it's not happening. And just look at normal companies. I don't know what I meant by normal companies. Just look at like
Larger
if you were
companies. Yeah.
larger companies. If you were a W-2 employee, think about what your bosses were like when change came. Think about how a lot of them were just like, well, this is how we've always done things. Why would we change them? If you have that mindset as an entrepreneur, I can tell you right now, you're probably not going to make it because you just can't. It's not possible. Change is going to come from a whole bunch of different places, and you've got to figure out how you're going to respond to that. So I love that, not sticking your head in the sand and just keeping an eye on what's happening and adjusting from there.
Yeah, adaptability and flexibility are going to be your friends. And I think typically what we see is newer, smaller businesses have that capability, right? To like merge, adapt, react, respond. I think one important other thing to do is don't be too overreactive as well. Like, I
Yeah.
think right now, a lot of folks, especially with everything that's developing in the administration, our current presidential administration, people are like having fear-based reactions as well. So sometimes you
Yeah.
have to also let things play out and figure out what you're going to do or how you can be prepared for it, right? We had talked a little bit before we had come on camera, like, are you going to be the person who panic buys, or are you
Right.
going to be the prepper who is ready for any situation? And if
Right.
we can just give a nod back to Mary
Mhm.
Williams. I just recently rewatched all of The Last of Us again.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah, and the way that people responded in that to to get ready and prepare. And there's the town that's doing spectacularly well, which is, everybody has a job assignment, resources are shared, everything's kind of working smoothly together. What can you do to emulate that as opposed to the other town who's like eating
Right.
people, because
Yeah.
the resources are scarce. And so I definitely, look to those things and those examples of how can you be better resourced? How can you make sure that you are going to weather different storms that will happen? Because in the United States, typically, not all the time, but every 4 years, we have at least a new administration, or even if it is the same set of heads, there is potential to shift and change other parts of our government, and even at the state or local level around you as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good point. Um, okay, well, should we kind of segue into imposter syndrome conversation?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
this is a big one. I mean, there's so many different directions we could take this, and there's so many different things I could say about it. But I think at the end of the day, I think most of us, unless maybe you're like the dictionary definition of a mediocre white man, I think most of us at the end of the day do not have the audacity to think we're better than everyone else.
Hmm.
And most of us were not born with that confidence.
Hmm.
And a lot of us at some point, or rather, will experience imposter syndrome. And so I feel like I don't know that I have the best advice for like how to get over it,
Hmm.
because I go through it every single day. But I think one thing that has helped me was just to remember that none of us know what we're doing. None of us know what we're doing. Like, if they might look like they have it together, but I guarantee you they don't. And the world, social media, everyone wants to tell us that life is perfect and great and everybody's doing great. But if you look behind the scenes at literally any of that, it's not that way. And you
Hmm.
know it because you experience it too, right? Like when you're getting ready for a big meeting, or you're going to record something like we are right now. My background might look great, but if you were to actually look at the rest of this room here, like you'd see all the piles of like shit everywhere, like
I got the piles right here off camera that nobody can see except for me. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I might be business on top, and by business I mean just like a clean shirt. I might be business on top. I'm literally wearing the same sweatpants I wore to bed last night on
Nice.
bottom. You can't see that on the camera, and if
I
you're
had no
listening,
idea.
you can't see any of it. Um, but like I don't have it all the way together. Neither does anybody else. And if they tell you they do, they're lying. Okay. I'm sorry, but I'm just convinced that everybody who says that they're doing really, really good is just lying. Um, yeah, I wasn't expecting the conversation to go to that direction. But what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think. if I can remember it correctly, because I just edited it recently, Tammy had said everybody has imposter syndrome, and the more success, quote unquote, successful you are, and the more money you make, and the more you get the thing that you've always wanted, right? Actually, it ends up worse because you have
Really
more to
interesting.
lose. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, as I was listening to that again, I was
Forgot
like,
about that. Yeah.
oh yeah.
That's
And
really smart.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't think I have a good way of doing it other than pep talking myself. And I just recently rediscovered these. I'm gonna put them on camera for a little bit. They are called, what are these called? It's from the Decision in Umbrella, and they're called little inspiration cards. And so what I've been doing is just randomly pulling one every day. And today's is we get what we feel. And I was like,
Okay, I like
oh,
that.
I mean, yesterday's was don't settle because what you want exists. And so this is kind of like, I don't know, I wrote down a lot of those kind of little things to kind of pep talk myself and also be like, it'll be, well, it could be worse and it will be okay.
Yeah.
And so I think that those are two big things that I kind of sit with. And, I am no stranger to imposter syndrome. There are days in being a business owner where I'm just like, I know why I do this, but then I'm just like, why and how does it work? And, you have those moments. But then it all ends up being okay. And I think what's important is going through life and like taking those moments to reflect and evaluate. And especially like if I find myself doing this a lot as like the year changes over, and honestly we're into February, it just was Lunar New Year, and I actually think now is the start of the year and the times to
Sure.
like get shit together and start working towards stuff. So I think having that mindset of constant improvement, and one, how can you make things easier for yourself?
Mhm.
Two, how can you be more compassionate with yourself? And three, recognizing that you are going to have imposter syndrome. And I think, part of it is just having that awareness and being okay with it and always trying to work on and work through it. Yeah.
That was really well said.
Thank you.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
We all got it.
Mhm.
We'll figure it out. We're all
Yeah.
figuring it out together.
We're all figuring it out. I feel like women are really bad at it too. We make ourselves suffer greatly with a lot of this, and we just need to give ourselves a little bit of a break.
Yeah. Give yourself some
Yeah.
grace.
Yeah. Grace.
If you are listening to this and you're like, hey, I found like a great trick, or this is how I deal with it, feel free to shoot us a DM because we'd love to learn from you.
Yeah.
Because we definitely don't have it together or figured out.
No.
No. Okay, well, let's end this lovely episode with what was your win for the week?
So my big win is cleaning up my Google. Well, actually, no, cleaning up my hard drive on my computer and cleaning up a little bit of Google Drive, because I was definitely getting one of those like blaring, like you're almost at capacity. You're gonna have to add more storage space. So moving around files and getting my digital cleanup done was my big win because it was bothering me. It's been on my list for a really long time, and I just felt
That's
that I needed
huge.
to do that. Yeah.
That's huge though, because like it's so stressful having to like find stuff when you don't have everything saved in a certain place or when you're running out of storage or yeah, it's just
Mhm.
it really you don't know like how many times throughout the day that time of like looking for something or trying to figure stuff out on your drive is just like taking up in your workday. And so
Absolutely.
yeah, like kudos to you because I I feel your pain on that.
I like to distract myself with things like file cleanup. I should have
Yep.
done other things, but it also, I mean, it sets you up. You're up for success down the road when you do
It's like
it.
cleaning off your desk. Like having like a clean space. I am so much more productive when
Mhm.
I've completed a task like that because then it's like my brain has space to think. I don't know
Yeah,
why, but I've always been that way. So it's
yeah.
like, yeah, the equivalent
It's
of
like
cleaning
head.
off your desk.
Yeah, it's like head trash. It's just
Yeah,
head trash.
get rid
Yeah.
of the trash. Get the trash out and then you're good.
Mhm, mhm.
I don't know what
Well, have
this
I?
was. This was removing
Yeah,
it from your
yeah.
head.
Removing it from your head. Yeah. What was your win for this week, Tori?
My win for this week. So a couple weeks ago, my win was that I had in January 5 discovery calls that like came out of nowhere, which was great. So my win for this week is that though I don't have the signature on the dotted line yet, I have 2 contracts that are like 100% coming in. So
Oh,
I'm excited about that.
that's awesome.
Um, yeah. So what about things we need to work on? For me this week, I've decided that I need to work on patience.
Mm,
Not just in
mhm.
my work life, but in my personal life as well. I have a toddler and I'm running multiple businesses, and the lack of patience that I've had lately is bleeding into all areas of my life. And my poor family, it is becoming their problem now. So
Said Taurus energy. It's not It's not quite Taurus season.
I know it's not. And I've been just lighting a fire under everybody. So I'm going to rein it in a bit. I'm going to calm down a bit. And
Mhm.
this week I'm going to work on my patience.
Awesome.
What about you?
My new thing, or my next thing, is just my email inbox. So I am the person who likes to be at inbox zero. I think I'm on page 4 of how far back it has gotten. One thing that I've been attempting to do this week is just unsubscribing from shit because we end up getting on people's lists, and I'm usually pretty good at just deleting it, but this week I have made a commitment to, like, okay, you're seeing such and such from that person again. It is not serving you. Go ahead and unsubscribe. You got their freebie thing. I will just tell everybody it is okay to unsubscribe from
Yeah.
things that are not serving you. And then, yeah, because of that, get to all the messages that I am inherently missing because they have gone to die on page 3 or 4 of my
Yeah.
inbox. But that is my goal for this week. And my excuse was I was sick with the flu. So that just all kind of piled up from that time. So I'm still digging out of it. But um, that is
Fair.
my that is my do better this week, is finally climb out of email jail.
Well, best of luck to you. That is
Thank
quite
you.
the undertaking, and I'm proud of you. You got this.
Thank you.
Well, dear listeners, thank you for tuning in again this week. If you have any questions that you want to ask us, or you have any guests you want us to um, chat with, or any ideas at all, feel free to shoot us a DM and send that our way. And until next time, thanks for listening.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye
Thank
for
you.
now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Take the Leap podcast. We hope you found useful takeaways you can apply to your entrepreneurial journey. Subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and keep in touch and follow us on Instagram. If you have business questions, shoot us a direct message or leave us a comment. We'll try to cover it in an upcoming episode. And visit our website, taketheleap-today.com, for more resources like our online course that accompanies this podcast.